we are back with Hobby Life.
And still with us today is Jan. So anyway, we wanted to know more about the type of people MLP attracts.
So, could you give us like a brief background of who these types of audiences are?
Well, I've mentioned that they've attracted all sorts of people, but to be specific, and these are the type of people who are active in the Brony community are artists. As of late, there's been a resurgence of independent animators, of video game creators, of musicians, and of webcomic artists. I found that a good example would be the video games itself. Wouldn't you know it that the show has somehow forced a small independent company to create a fighting game?
I've seen it around
I've,
YouTube.
yeah, I've actually seen trailers, but I've never seen actual gameplays or playthroughs. So, wait, doesn't that sound a little violent though?
Oh no, it actually has a funny story. During its production, they called it Fighting is Magic. Of course, one would think that why would you make your favorite main six characters fight each other? That's what Hasbro actually thought, and they kind of gave the main six developers a cease and desist order. Sad to say, but the magic of the community is that Lauren Faust herself has stepped in to help these independent developers, and instead given them new character designs to supplement the six fighters. The game itself was debuted in Evo, which is a very famous fighting game convention.
Yeah, yeah.
And since then, it's now currently in its final development phase, and I can't actually wait to play it.
So, where can you play it though? On your on Android phones or
So
consoles?
so far, it's only slated for PC. So we'll just have to wait upon that. And other than the video game developers, creators, you also have those independent animators. Since 2010, we've seen those who are inspired by the show to go one step further in their craft. If you were to, a good example is Jan Animations, who unfortunately also got the ban hammer from Hasbro.
Oh, that's just sad.
Though from the very start, one can never one if we were to look at his work, you can almost think that Hasbro Animation Company has actually made his stuff. Some so only one. It's amazing that one man could create show accurate and show quality fan animations. Others are other animators also contribute to, or they basically make storyboards of certain episodes. Many of them create title cards for the show itself. Uh, but like some videos lately, Hasbro has been quite harsh, I would say.
Why harsh?
Since My Little Pony itself is a very, very big intellectual property,
It is.
they have to take care of. They basically have to take care of their own baby.
Yeah, they
That
do.
is to say.
Definitely.
However, speaking, the animators do have friends, and that comes into term to the musicians, independent musicians as
It's
well.
actually really
A
convenient.
good another a good mention of an independent musician in the Brony community would be a man by the name of the Wooden Toaster, or Mike the Tombstone.
Make the designer.
These
We've actually passed by those names during YouTube.
They all started off as MLP, but now look at them. They've created original songs for other fandoms. A good example is for Mike the Tombstone. He's created songs for Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh,
the horror game,
yeah, the game.
So going to Equestria Girls, how different is it from the
My Little
the,
Pony.
the main
Yeah,
franchise?
the main My Little Pony franchise.
I would take it as a spin-off since the fans are kind of wanting what would it be like if the main six or the characters from the show are human? So they developed a plot that revolves around a special magic mirror, which happens that this comic I have right here explains the history of the said magic mirror.
We really need to get into these comics now.
Yeah, we do.
So continuing, Equestria Girls is more of they try to make it more of a musical.
Yeah, they do, especially in the second
In the
one,
second
Rainbow
movie.
Rocks, right?
Rainbow Rocks and especially the Friendship Games, and
Yeah.
now the recent one would be the
Legends of
Everfree.
Everfree, yeah.
Yes. Uh, it's also to note that Equestria Girls actually is also a tribute to one of the voice actresses in My Little Pony.
Which one?
Oh yeah,
Well,
which one?
If you are familiar with Sunset Shimmer,
Yes, she's sort of the main protagonist of the Equestria Girls.
who by the way became the heroine of Equestria Girls. Her history actually in the development of the show, she was supposed to be the main character. She was supposed to take
Oh.
Twilight's place.
This is the original show.
This original show. And it turns out the voice actress for Sunlight Shimmer is also the singing voice of Twilight in the main series.
Sparkle. Oh wow. So it turned into a tribute.
Yeah. So, how big is My Little Pony these days? Like,
If you can judge from your perspective.
At this moment, the MLP has reached its peak.
That's a lot to say though.
Yes, since now it's just a few months away to the new season, which is sad to say is rumored to be the final season of the show.
No, that hurts the heart. I
Right.
really need to catch
It
up
does,
on the
but
comics now.
if I were Hasbro, I would say leave this series on a high note.
so
Well, that
you
is
want
true.
it to stop at this generation?
Yeah. Though they will not leave without a bang.
Yeah, that is exactly what I'm waiting for. If
Yeah,
they're
they're
gonna end it,
hinting-
may as well end it with a bang.
And which is the My Little Pony movie, which is totally different
October
Yes.
5 or 6?
6, October 6.
Oh my god, I cannot wait for that. But it's just months away. We don't even know if it's gonna screen in the Philippines. Will it though?
from. Rumor has it might.
Might.
If we bug certain
malls.
malls
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it.
we better.
If we can ask if we can ask our malls to show us anime, why not?
Why
have
not
them
show
MLP?
MLP.
Yeah.
So here's a little message to the bronies out there.
And the
bug them.
Pegasisters.
And the Pegasisters, please
it
bug them.
works. It
It actually works.
And just make it a viral sensation. We can do this, guys. We can make My Little Pony the movie screen in our theaters. Please.
So, so about the background ponies, what makes them so special? Why are they why do they play an important role in the show?
Well, of course, the show focuses on the main six. However, the background ponies attracted a lot of attention, especially because of one pony.
DJ Pond?
Country? We're thinking
No,
it's DJ
actually.
Pond.
Muffin?
Yes.
Oh my god, she's my favorite background pony.
Because the show itself, or any show for that matter, does have its flaws, its bugs. Some have animation errors, one of which is derpy. But ever since the fans love her for that, they kind of stick. It kind of stuck to her design. Sometimes the fans themselves dictate who gets to appear in the show.
Yeah, they do it.
The love
It's-
for the dumb character in the show.
Yeah,
right?
and if I remember correctly, a lot of people didn't want Derpy there in the first place because of her design. It made her look like the disabled character, or so I read.
It was a controversial. It was a topic. Though now they've given her a more active role, since one of the recent episodes actually focused less on the main six and more on the background ponies.
I remember that.
Is this the 100th episode special?
Yes.
I remember
So,
that, yeah. And then the main six were battling a monster, and then it was the background ponies who had to do the job of what the main six would usually do. So the party,
The wedding.
yeah, the wedding
and all,
especially.
and all the background ponies at main six did meet happened to have some effect to the show. But that is to say that the background ponies themselves are also Easter eggs or
Oh.
allusions to some references. A good example for that, since the show attracts so many different people, why not attract another fandom? A good example would be the pony called Time Turner. To describe him
I
short,
think I read about that.
so then you would know that he somehow looks very similar to Doctor Who.
Yeah, that's what
especially
I
David
read.
Tennant.
Yeah, and then he carries around a clock, and so is his cutie mark, right?
Yes.
Right.
And references that, and there are many references, especially in that episode, that somehow Time Turner's next to a pony named Rose. It's another allusion to Doctor Who. Another would be the ponies in the comics themselves. They allude to video games. They also allude to famous literature. A good example would be Cthulhu from
Oh,
from
that-
Lovecraft Cthulhu.
No, that, is
The
that
gigantic
same?
squid.
Oh, that
Yeah, I
gigantic
remember
squid
Yeah,
god
he's shown up in the comics. Another interesting thing about the background ponies is one of them came from a creepypasta.
and creepypasta is usually known for making all those
Horror.
horror conspiracy
Horror
articles,
conspiracies and
right?
horror games.
Exactly.
Since one of the episodes in season 5, they have snuck in Slenderman.
Slenderman as a pony or Slenderman as
As
himself?
himself, yeah.
Slenderman as a pony. Since if it's a My Little Pony show, why not ponify them?
Yeah.
We need to look for these Easter eggs. Season 5, right?
Oh, season 5, but starting from season 1, there are many. Another sort of
Oh.
Easter egg is certain ponies that are very well detailed.
Oh, like who exactly?
A good one would be Spitfire. She's a pony who is bob cut,
Yeah.
black mane with a cream coat, has a flaming tire on as her cutie mark. Wouldn't you know it? She actually represents one of the writers of the show.
Of the show. Oh, that's cool. So the writers started to incorporate themselves into the show and be part
It's
of
like
it.
a homage to themselves.
Yeah.
Yes, they actually also put little inside jokes, and especially the 100th episode wherein they actually snuck in a group photo of themselves in one of the.
There are so many Easter eggs in this
Yeah,
one show.
I feel bad as a fan watching it now. So how are you able to find all these?
Well, I would say I have a lot of time on my hands.
Speaking of a lot of time on your hands, I've recently just found out that you're also an illustrator. So let's talk a bit of your art. So, what are your art styles, basically? Or who are the people you look up to and try to copy?
Well, as an illustrator, one must be flexible, especially someone like me who aspires to be part of those who make designs, drawings, and concepts for video games and animated movies. I tend to look up to people who. A good example would be, I would say, James Jean.
And could you give us a background of what James Jean's works are?
He's known for making the covers for the well-known comic series Fables from Vertigo Comics. Another inspiration you might say is art styles that you can get from other video games.
And there are a lot of
Yeah,
video
there are a lot of
games,
video
yeah.
games. An inspiration, for example, Overwatch. Everyone talks about Overwatch. Everyone, I think, is playing Overwatch right now. But wouldn't you know it? Their inspiration actually came from DreamWorks and Pixar movies.
The character designs, the
I
oh
think
wow.
also with the background, you see
Yeah.
hints of
Oh
that.
wow.
You've-
I don't play, so I can't say I know.
So, what examples of drawings do you have? Like, what do you usually draw?
Well, it depends on my mood really, but I tend to lean towards the digital sides of things.
Oh wow, that's
And,
actually
There's
nice.
a sample over
That's
there.
your background, right?
Yes, my focus is more on environments.
That looks really good.
But my training as an illustrator tells me that I need to create a picture that tells a story, evokes an emotion. often than not, when I go to traditional sites, I tend to make doodles, like these
Like
ones, for
these.
instance.
Oh, okay. They actually.
They're
I wish
very
I could draw
sketchy,
like
but
that.
they have a charm to them.
So what kind of? Oh, that is rarity. I can
And
tell.
yeah.
There's the cutie mark on the mug.
Well, and sometimes one can make fan art.
Yeah.
A good example is this one. I made this one out of traditional art, and wouldn't you know it, this picture is a gift to one of my brony friends.
Oh. They
How
actually.
about this one?
It's one of my self-portraits.
Yeah, I noticed the hair.
My tendency is I have to doodle, since I believe that if you stop drawing for a while, you would lose your touch.
Yeah. So you have a journal for doodling.
Yes, I have a journal. I keep at least two with me, because you may never know if you go on a creative binge.
So when did you start being an illustrator?
Actually, one does not start being an illustrator.
Oh.
One
Okay.
is already an illustrator. Just like everything in life, like being a hobbyist, you kind of grow into it.
Okay.
And you mentioned a while ago that there are stories behind what you illustrate. So where do these stories come from exactly?
Well, one can take inspiration from anything. For one of my current commissions, I'm being tasked to design video game bosses.
So you're really an illustrator by profession.
Yes, I'm illustration.
So
And where can we? If you don't mind me asking, where can we see your works?
Well, as of late, I'm on Facebook and I'm on DeviantArt, if you're familiar with it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also, well, I'm also on Twitter, Tumblr, and recently discovered ArtStation.
So you're there as Yokal.
Yes.
That's your username. So, how many commissions do you usually do within a month?
It really depends on the artist. Personally, I take at least 6 commissions a month. Since you are your own boss, since you are a
Yeah.
freelancer. But then again, you have to set your deadlines. For me, the big disclaimer that I put is I tend to take my time. Since even though you're a freelancer, you kind of have a main job.
Most do, yeah.
You mostly do.
And how long do these projects usually take? Or does it depend on the type of project that you're given?
It depends on the type of project. One project like a gift to a friend that can be done within a day, or something that would take months would be a storyboard for an for an indie animation, which takes hundreds, if not thousands of frames.
And so right now, what can you say to those artists
those
who
who
are
want to-
struggling and who are trying to also find their way into?
The artist industry,
Yeah.
creative industry.
Well, the best advice that I've heard and I follow is don't do this or don't draw for anyone but yourself. Because the hardest person to impress is you.
Yeah.
That's very true. So unfortunately, that's all the time we have left for today's episode in Hobby Life.
Thank you all for joining us, and we hope to see you again next week. Ayun, no?